Hi everybody, I am Arda Hankul, computer science and engineering student at Akdeniz University. Today I am going to talk about Thomas Alva Edison and his enterprises. I would like to start with the topic who is Thomas Alva Edison. Edison was born on February 11 in 1847 in Milan, Ohio. Edison had very little formal education as a child. He began working at an early age, as most boys did at the time. At 13, he took a job as a newsboy. He seems to have spent much of his free time reading scientific and technical books and also had the opportunity at this time to learn how to operate a telegraph. By the time he was 16, Edison was proficient enough to work as a telegrapher full-time. Edison moved to New York City. He continued to work on inventions related to the telegraph and developed his first successful invention, an improved stock ticker called the Universal Stock Printer. For this and some related invention, Edison was paid $40,000. This gave Edison the money he needed to set up his first small laboratory and manufacturing facility in Newark, New Jersey. Edison sold all his Newark manufacturing concerns and moved his family and staff of assistants to the small village of Menlo Park, 25 miles southwest of New York City. Edison established a new faculty containing all equipment necessary to work any invention. This research and development laboratory was the first of its kind anywhere, the model for later modern faculties such as Bell Laboratories. This is sometimes considered to be Edison's greatest invention. Here Edison began to change the world. The first great invention developed by Edison in Menlo Park was the tin foil phonograph. The first machine that could record and reproduce sound created sensation brought Edison internal fame. Edison toured the country with the tin foil phonograph and was invited to the White House to demonstrate it at President Rutherford Hayes in April 1878. Edison next undertook his greatest challenge, the development of a practical electric light. The idea of electric light wasn't new, and a number of people had worked on and even developed forms of electric lighting. But up to that time, nothing had been developed that was remotely practical for home. Edison's eventual achievement was inventing not just an electric light, but also an electric lighting system that contained all the elements necessary to make the incandescent light practical, safe, and economical. After 1.5 years of work, success was achieved when the incandescent lamp with a filament of carbonized sieving thread burned for 13.5 hours. The first public demonstration of Edison's incandescent lighting system was in December 1879 when the Menlo Park Laboratory complex was electrically lighted. Edison spent the next several years creating the electrical industry. In September 1882, the first commercial power station located on Pearl Street in Lower Manhattan went into operating, providing light and power to customers in 1 square mile area. The electric age had begun. The last experimental work of Edison's lab was done at the request of Edison's good friends Henry Ford and Harvey Firestone in the late 1920s. They asked Edison to find alternative source of rubber for use automobile tires. The natural rubber used for tires up to that time came from the rubber tree, which doesn't grow in the United States. Crude rubber had to be imported and was becoming increasingly expensive. With his customary energy and trueness, Edison tested thousands of different plants to find a suitable substitute, eventually finding a type of golden rod that could produce enough rubber to be feasible. Edison was still working on this at the time of his death. During the last 2 years of his life, Edison was increasingly poor health. Edison spent more time away from laboratory, working instead at Glenwood. Trips to the family vacation home in Fort Myers, Florida became longer. Edison was past 80 and suffered from a number of ailments. In August 1931, Edison collapsed at Glenwood, essentially housebound from that point. Edison steadily declined until at 3:21 a.m. on October 18, 1931, the great man died. Here is my references. Thank you for listening.